Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker visited Pope Leo in Vatican City last week and brought a 4-pack of De Pope beer, continuing the long Chicago tradition of drinking 2 on the way over.
Yes. Was that stand-up comedy? Was it maybe it was seated or something like that, perhaps? I remember comedy. I miss comedy. Let's keep comedy alive. He don't want to work. The Democrats, there's an uprising among the Democrats, an insurrection. All of them are suffering from some kind of an insurrectional disorder. They don't know how to attend to it, but I think Big Pharma has already addressed this. They despise Big Pharma because it's something. And they despise everything. Kind of crazy. But I love this. These Democrats, like this guy, Jason Crow, he's a member of the House of Representatives. And he's one of the seditious 6. You know, the Sedition, the Democrat members of Congress, the House, and the Senate that are engaging in an effort to, I think, create a civil war to turn the U.S. military against the federal government. And these guys, now they're pretending that they're brave or something. And this Jason Crow guy is yelling, "I will not be intimidated. I will not be intimidated." I'm sorry, you guys are the ones that are trying to terrorize everybody and turn the military against the commander-in-chief. And you are the party of slavery and the Civil War, just by the way. You know, slavery is unrelated somewhat, except not really, because all this is over them getting cheap labor from, illegal aliens flowing in across our southern border. And they're all, man, I got to tell you, they're all, "I will not be intimidated." This is their new chant. Jason Crow, "I will not be intimidated." And Senator Winky, the astronaut, "I will not be intimidated." They're all going to not be intimidated, which, of course, means that they're being intimidated, because that's what they're doing, these people. And they put that video together, inciting. What are they inciting? They're inciting. Maybe they should break away and have some, bring back the Confederate States of America, and they could bring back Jefferson Davis. So they even took down his painting and his portrait, his sculpture in the Capitol. These people, I'm telling you. Yeah, so they're out there, and their big thing now is, "I will not be intimidated." It's just amazing. These people, womp womp womp, just ridiculous. Yeah, Mark Kelly, he will not be intimidated. That's right. Well, nobody's actually trying to intimidate you. You're the one who's threatening all kinds of mayhem. Mark Kelly fires back at Trump over military comments, says, quote, "I will not be intimidated." That's Senator Mark Kelly. And then I just read from the other dim-witted Democrat in the House of Representatives, "I will not be intimidated." They're nothing if not unoriginal, that's for sure. These people, is it okay if I call them people? Jason Crow, "I will not be intimidated." They're just a bunch of cross-dressers. They really are. They could win the women's weightlifting competition in the Congress, I think, these people. These people, and the day after tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and a lot of family involvement, and usually good. Sometimes when Democrats are involved, it can be mental and crazy, potentially crazy, and they don't like anything, do they? And while the Democrats, I'm just talking about the seditious 6. We had the felonious 51, so-called intelligence communities people. They led by Penitentiary Face Brennan, John Penitentiary Face Brennan, who, of course, famously voted for the Communist Party candidate for President of the United States, Gus Hall, because he's a communist, and Barack Obama, who was mentored by a communist named Frank Marshall Davis. Barack Obama made him CIA director. This is the guy who gave, 14 visas to 9/11 hijackers when he was the CIA station chief in Saudi Arabia. Good job. And then he got promoted and promoted because Democrats, if you kill thousands of people, that impresses them. They're on the side of the bad guys. They're quite amazing. Wah, wah, wah. Yes, they are. Yeah, but Senator Mark Kelly, he will not be intimidated, right? Because can't intimidate him. And this other these dim-witted people, I will not be intimidated. Sure, yeah. You're almost as brave as a cross-dressing cheerleader in the NFL. I'm very impressed. Aren't you amazing? Jason Crow, I will not be intimidated. And they're the ones that put out the video in the first place, inciting all of this madness.
I am not going to be threatened and intimidated by the President of the United States. I have a job to do, and that is to ensure people follow the law. I took an oath to this country. It is a lifetime oath that I intend to carry out. And I am not going to be intimidated and threatened by the president and stop reminding people to follow the law.
Stop reminding people to follow the law. Hey, you guys should stop making a killing in the stock market every day with your insider trading information. And maybe we should stop paying for your phony baloney security and travel. That was Jason Crow on Face the Nation the day before yesterday on Sunday. He will not be intimidated and now Mark Kelly is out there saying, I will not be intimidated. Were they both dressed like women when they gave these sound bites? Because now, I'm sorry, you guys are the ones that are inciting the madness. You guys are actually creating the problem. And then the president said, well, that's seditious behavior. And he did point out that sedition in the old days was treated as a capital crime, a capital offense. That hasn't been the case lately. You guys have been seditious for a long time. But we had the Felonious, the Seditious 6 now, the Felonious 51. And what was the other one, Mike? Oh, the dozen, what was it? Oh, the disinformation dozen. That's right. The Biden administration, they came up with the disinformation dozen. And it was great because we were the first ones to count them. And the New York Times didn't, CNN didn't, ABC News didn't. But we counted them, and there were 13 of them. There were 13 members of the what? The disinformation dozen.
I'm not going to be silenced here. Is it stressful? I've been stressed by things more important than Donald Trump trying to intimidate me into shutting my mouth and not doing my job. He didn't like what I said. I'm going to show up for work every day, support the Constitution, do my job, hold this administration accountable.
He's going to hold this. That's Senator Mark Kelly, and he's an embarrassment to our space program, which is a good one. And he was on with Rachel Maddow last night because he picks his targets, He got Rachel Maddow, and I'd say her mustache has filled in nicely, don't you think? And she, Rachel Maddow. It was Monday night. She only does a show on Monday night for $25 million a year. They reduced it from $30 million a year, though, to save other people's lunch money or something like that. These people. I am telling you. All right, let's go to soundbite number one. This is Democrat Senator Alyssa Slotkin. She's from Michigan, and Michigan is very embarrassed that they've sent her. She was a CIA analyst, for a period of time. Not a very impressive career at all. It's not like she was out in Afghanistan with body armor and a rifle working with Delta Force, taking down terror cells or anything. She was fighting over her parking space in McLean, Virginia, trying to get one closer to the building. That was as exciting as it got for her. And you may recall, because they said in the Seditious 6 video that they posted, they said that members of the military shouldn't follow illegal orders given by Trump. Every member of the military knows that you don't follow illegal orders. And then Alyssa Slotkin, which is a code word, but just her last name. But she was on with Martha Raddatz the day before yesterday on ABC on Sunday. And Raddatz, to her credit, said, well, name an illegal order that President Trump has given.
So let's talk right now. Do you believe President Trump has issued any illegal orders?
To my knowledge, I am not aware of things that are illegal.
To my knowledge, I'm not aware of things that are illegal. All right. You must have been quite the CIA analyst. Must have been very impressive to review your work Well, I can tell you what I don't know. Here's what I don't know. It's, Donald Rumsfeld, who she doubtless despises, said there were the known knowns, the known unknowns, and then the unknown unknowns. And they couldn't figure that out. It took them years, and they still don't understand what Donald Rumsfeld was talking about because he was so much smarter than they were and than they are. Alyssa Slotkin is a Democrat.
If you look at popular culture, there's you watch, A Few Good Men. We have plenty of examples since World War II in Vietnam where people were told to follow illegal orders and they did it and they were prosecuted for it.
Yeah. Okay. What are you talking about? Like My Lai? Talking about a singular isolated incident in the Vietnam War, an incident that was that 50 years ago yet? Because that's, let's see, so a half a century ago, there was an incident in a war, and that's got everything to do with what? Are you related to Lieutenant Calley? Because, you're massacring reality over here, you clown. And Jason Crow is a Democrat. He's from Colorado. He's a member of the House of Representatives. Man. And what about, why did you make this video, Face the Nation on Sunday? Why did you make this video challenging the entirety of the U.S. military, like 1.3 million American military people, to get caught up in their own gears about whether the President of the United States, Commander-in-Chief, is issuing illegal orders, which he's not, as the idiot Alyssa Slotkin just said. But you shouldn't follow orders, then they'll end up being court-martialed.
We wanted to start a conversation, and we did, about the dangerous rhetoric this president is using and the threats that he's made to use our military in an unlawful way.
What?
Specifically what?
Well, send troops into Chicago, send troops into polling stations, kill terrorists' families, arrest and execute members of Congress.
Arrest and execute members of Congress. These people are mentally infirmed. I'm trying not to use the flame retardant. Just amazing. What is it? I'm sorry, he's going to arrest, or he is in the process of arresting members of Congress and having them executed. That's what he said, right? That's what President Trump is doing. What's it? Sending troops into Chicago. They're going to be like 650 murders in Chicago. It's a war zone. You have to send troops in because the Democrats kill so many people with guns that the police and the great Chicago police, of course, the Democrats regulate the hell out of them so they can't actually enforce laws and hold criminals, like the idiot mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, who the other day talked about this insane person who had been arrested 72 times, and this Democrat judge woman let him out of prison again, and then he went and set this young lady on fire, this lovely young woman who was drenched in gasoline and set on fire on a Chicago Transit Authority train, a subway train, an L train, and set her on fire and nearly killed her. She's in critical condition. And turns out that the guy that did it had been arrested, convicted of 19 felonies, arrested 72 times, and released again and again and again, and until he finally set this woman on fire. And they'd release him again. They'd release him again. Isn't that amazing? These people. And what did the mayor of Chicago say? Let's go, Brandon Johnson. What did he say about that? Said, hey, the guy was arrested 72 times, convicted of 19 felonies, and your idiot judge let him loose again to go set this beautiful young woman on fire from head to toe.
This is an isolated incident. I mean, I don't see this as some sort of trend.
Some sort of trend. I think the trend is you released him 72 times. That's the trend that we're talking about. Until finally he committed a crime so horrible that even you creeps won't let him loose on the sidewalk anymore. An isolated incident. Well, after 72 isolated incidents that you guys created, then there was one so horrific that even you couldn't avoid paying attention to it. Man, you people. It's good that I call them people. I think that's very generous. When Mary said, "Let it be done to me according to your word," She embraced God's plan, and even with the uncertainty, the risk, and the sacrifice, her yes brought Jesus into the world. And today, countless mothers in the United States face the same moment of decision when they see their baby on an ultrasound, writhing around in there, waving and kicking. The mother, they might be scared, might be unsure, but their moment to say yes could pass. You can make a difference right now because of the generosity of great listeners like you. Preborn's network of clinics across the United States can help provide immediate support, helping thousands of mothers embrace life, and over 380,000 babies have already been rescued thanks to Preborn and the ultrasounds that they provide free of charge to pregnant women. Not just birthing people, but pregnant women. This holiday season, don't let another life be lost. Be the hope for hurting mothers, young mothers, and babies at risk. Just say yes to life today. To donate securely, all you have to do is dial pound 250, and when prompted, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, the keyword is baby, or you can go online to preborn.com/plant. That's preborn.com/PLANTE. All of your gifts are, of course, tax deductible. The organization has a 5-star rating as a charity, and, your donation only impacts eternity. That's all. Yes, sir. Ah, yes. Yeah, these people. I know, I'm very generous. I call them people. And these are Democrats, members of Congress, the House, the Senate, national, federal office.
Well, send troops into Chicago, send troops into polling stations, kill terrorists' families, arrest and execute members of Congress.
The news just keeps rolling in over the transom. It is nonstop. James Carville, leading Democrat voice and thinker. I'm making quotation marks with my fingers. Big Democrat thinker he is. Yes, he is. So we've got lots of upcoming madness because they've filled my cup once again. Yes, they are. There is a great American Marine, Sergeant Dakota Meyer. Sergeant Dakota Meyer. You familiar with Sergeant Dakota Meyer? Medal of Honor recipient. Thank you very much. He sent a message to Senator Mark Kelly on social media. I'll share that with you coming right up. Yes, Medal of Honor recipient, U.S. Marine Corps Sergeant Dakota Meyer, posted to these dim-witted Democrat Senator Mark Kelly. He cited Mark Kelly specifically, and Dakota Meyer said, "Please spare us the tough guy act, Senator Kelly. You're not defending the Constitution. You tried to inject doubt into the ranks of the very people who uphold it. That puts service members at risk, and every veteran I know sees right through it." Sees right through it. So a great contribution by Sergeant Dakota Meyer, U.S. Marine Corps retired, and Medal of Honor recipient. How about that? Honestly, millions and millions of veterans should be speaking up. So certainly feel free to speak up. And with that, let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Jim, calling from beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Jimmy, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, Jim.
Thought I'd give you a couple of points. Good morning. I thought I'd give you a couple of points on the UCMJ. I was a junior officer in the Marine Corps. I got out in St. Patrick's Day, 73 as captain, but very familiar with the UCMJ, and my dad was a career Army officer. Anyway, the UCMJ, if you're an officer and you don't resign your commission, my contract expired after 6 years, and I was given an honorable discharge from the Marine Corps. But I'm still theoretically under the guise of the UCMJ. I can be recalled as an officer, as a commissioned officer, as long as I'm alive.
Right.
So theoretically, I'm 78. I can be called up.
Wow.
And if I'm called up to active duty, I'm now under the code of the UCMJ. In other words, you can now charge me with sedition, being a traitor, treason, disobedience of lawful orders as an active member of the military. So Kelly could, and these others could theoretically be called up because they are officers and put on active duty and then charged under the UCMJ for the remarks they made. And they'd stick them. And the military justice is much more different than civil justice or criminal justice in the United States. You don't have nearly the rights that you might have. And another thing I wanted to talk to you about is about illegal orders. And I'll tell you this, I won't give any names, but in February 1968, at the Quezon Combat Base, we had in front of our positions, I was on a hill about a kilometer outside of the base, we had some action against the NVA, and in front of our position, we had about around 40 wounded enemy. I called into the main base. I called into the commanding officer, Regimental Commander Lowndes, and I said, "Sir, I need medevacs. I need medical assistance. We have approximately 40 enemy in front of my position." Colonel Lowndes responded, "You have no enemy in front of your position. Repeat, you have no enemy in front of your position. Out." I had 3 gunnery sergeants in my company. They were Korean War and World War II veterans. One of them from Iwo Jima.
Wow.
He said, "Sir, you're going to go home someday. We'll take care of this." And I'll be honest with you, I turned my back, and I'm sorry I did, but there was an implied order. We had no enemy in front of us, and the enemy wounded were disposed.
Wow.
There's nothing to be done for them.
Wow.
And it haunts me to this day, but what am I going to do? Leave them lay out there? And I turned my back. I was 22 years old.
Right. Wow. Wow, that's an amazing war story, Jim. I'm glad you felt comfortable enough to tell that story. It's a remarkable story, a wartime tale, and that's the horror of it all, isn't it?
It really is. And you mentioned about, My Lai 4 that took place. That was an Army unit. There were no orders given. And Medina, who was the company commander, and then you had Lieutenant Kelly, they were charged, but they never did any time. It was just let go.
Right.
There were no orders given. Those people had been in the field for days. They were getting their legs blown off. They were getting shot to pieces. And the villagers knew where all this ordnance was, where all these traps were, and did nothing. And they just went nuts. But I'll tell you this, Chris, there's nothing more dangerous than a 19-year-old Marine, 12,000 miles from home, armed to the teeth, hot, sweaty, dirty, tired, scared, and you let them loose, and that's what's going to happen. It's war. There are no rules. I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
The rules are, I want to survive. I want to go home.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So anyway, God bless, and great show. I listen to you every day, Chris. This is part of my religion now, the Chris Plant Show.
Wow.
It is where I get my good stuff. But Chris, don't feel sorry for me. I volunteered. I did what I had to do to survive. My people got home, most of them, and but when you try to equate civilian life and civilian law to the military, especially in a combat situation, the rules don't apply.
Yeah.
There just aren't any rules.
Yeah. Well, I don't feel sorry for you.
I'm sorry to say that.
No, I don't feel sorry for you.
Okay,
I want to sit at a table and talk to you much more about it as the reality.
Well, I met you once. I met you once at Chevy Chase. You had a program there a few years ago.
The
you
country club.
Remember me? There was a lot of people there.
The country club, to the west of Chicago.
Wheeling. It was in Wheeling. It was a great program. You ever going to do that again?
Well, we have plans to do that again. I'm just so damn busy all the time. It's really hard to coordinate with WLS in Chicago. But yeah, it's it's on the roster. We just have to get to it.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, good. It'd be great. And I'll give you some free advice. Don't take the L.
Yeah, good idea. Good idea. Yeah, the elevated train in Chicago where the young woman was set on fire by a lunatic with a bucket of gasoline and a lighter. Set this young woman on fire, horrifying, and he had been arrested 72 times before, and the Democrats let him out 72 times. Isn't that amazing?
They were going to let him out 73. They were going to let him out 73 times. They were considering no bail and putting another ankle bracelet on him. Honest to gosh, but because the crime was so visible, the prosecutor, I think it's Burke, she's got a long history in Chicago, tied to the political machine. She just said, "Okay, we'll lock him up this time." It's too late.
Yeah, right.
Too late.
Now that it's too late. Now the Democrats they haven't come to their senses, but other people have forced them to act for a moment as though they had come to their senses.
Well, when you listen to Mayor Johnson, you pick him up on the local channels. The man is completely out of touch with reality. He talks about the Civil War and relitigating the Civil War. I don't know what he's talking about, but this is a man who's charged of the third largest city in the United States.
Right.
God help us.
But
you know what?
What's that?
We put our hand in the door and slammed it on our fingers over and over again, thinking it wasn't going to hurt anymore. And Chicago keeps electing these fools, and this is what you get.
And this is what you get.
We got to wake up.
In every Democrat city. I don't know how many years with 600 homicides do you have to have before you say, maybe I should stop voting for these people. Maybe we need to have adults in charge. I mean, I don't, what is it? You got, what do they need? Pot is legal. You want to legalize fentanyl and heroin, which Mamdani is talking about doing in New York City, as a matter of fact. That'll make matters better. They had somebody set on fire in the New York City subway system just last year, and they kind of shrug. And you remember the Marine Daniel Penny that stepped into when there was a psychotic, mentally ill lunatic on the New York City subway. Daniel Penny tried to restrain him, accidentally killed the guy, and the Democrat Party couldn't wait to lynch the Marine Daniel Penny. Because he stopped the mentally ill career criminal lunatic from assaulting. He was threatening to murder old women on the subway train in New York. And the Democrat Party, they're on the side of the lunatic who's threatening to murder the old lady.
Well, yeah, that's what's disturbing, Chris, is that, heroism is now considered a liability.
Right.
And people don't want to speak up. Nobody in Chicago gave that woman who was lit on fire any assistance.
Right.
None. Zero. Zip. Nothing. Where are we?
Yeah.
I mean, where are we as a society when we allow something like that to happen in front of our eyes and we turn our backs to it? Where's our courage? Aren't there any men left in this country? Am I the last generation, Chris?
Well, I
can't carry this country.
I got to tell you. It's funny. I was talking to my best girl this morning, and I said I'm a baby boomer, and I said I was being fake immodest, but I said, I think that the baby boomer generation is the second greatest generation. I work with a lot of people in their 20s, and everybody's got this Gen X, Gen Z, Gen Y stuff. We didn't care so much about that. We were aware of the baby boom after World War II, and so that had a label attached to it. Now we got all this ridiculous, Gen asterisk and, whatever they're supposed to be. But I do think the baby boomer generation is looking pretty good by comparison these days. And you're right, where are the men? See, and this is, the truth is, Jim, that the Democrat Party has waged war against masculinity. They have defined, if you ask anybody 15 to 40 years old, like it's a game show, blank masculinity, blank masculinity. Now, you know what the fill word is, right, Jim?
Toxic.
Toxic, that's right. They've made masculinity toxic. And they do this by way of their information dominance, cultural dominance. Masculinity is toxic, and then they have men dressed as women as cheerleaders on the Carolina Panthers football team. A man won the women's weightlifting, world weightlifting competition in Texas yesterday. A man won it. And we haven't even played the audio on that, Michael, but the lady who should have won but came in second because a man won the competition, and the lady that came in second but should have won was on the number 2 slot on the podium there, and she had enough, and she cursed a bit and stepped down off of the riser and just walked away, looking at the man with disgust in her eyes. And male pretending to be female wins world's strongest woman title. And there's this gigantic guy who won the women's world's strongest woman competition at the Strongman Games. And somebody named Jamie Booker, who's obviously a man, won the weightlifting competition yesterday in Arlington, Texas. actually his day before yesterday, it was Sunday, won the weightlifting competition. And we're supposed to, if you're a Democrat, you applaud that. And you say, isn't that great, right? And then I think the person who should have won is Michelle Hooper. Michelle Hooper is a woman of color who's not very tall and looks pretty strong. And she came in second because a man was competing, because masculinity is toxic. And never forget, Jim, women don't have babies. Birthing persons have babies. And the Democrat Party is a mental illness. Just membership is a mental illness. And then we had this person who won, who's obviously a man, is standing there, Jamie, Jammie, that you can't call that Jamie, so I'm going to call that Jamie. Jamie Booker won, cheated, stole it, and Michelle Hooper should have won, was the actual woman. And listen to this, Jim, as it's a little hard to hear, a little hard to understand, but she, an actual woman, steps down from the number 2 stand, coming in second, and was having none of it. Looked back at the big man and just didn't like the look at all. This is, I'll clean it up, this is BS, she said, as she walked away looking at the man, and the man was smiling and holding his gigantic arms up in the air and said, oh, I won the women's weightlifting competition. And Democrats applaud this and say that's normal. Now, this is a man. This is toxic masculinity. Jim, I'll concede the term in this one instance and this one instance only. This man that stole the women's weightlifting competition, he is toxic. That is toxic masculinity. I'll give it on that one and that one alone. But Jim, they've turned masculinity into something negative, something toxic. They prefer men to be feminine, to be gender dysphoric, to be mentally ill, because then they're all in the same hot tub together, right, Jim?
It's a strange world we live in. If you remember, Chris, when Brandon was in office as president, he had that Mulvaney, that transgender, whatever, that guy.
Dylan Mulvaney.
And he was sitting having an interview with him. Remember that?
Yeah.
And he was saying, God bless you. God love you. God love you. My God. Well, Marines are dying all over the world, and he's God loving this pathetic individual, this pathetic creature.
Yeah, Dylan Mulvaney.
I'm sorry, Chris. I can't embrace it.
No, that's perfectly normal and healthy and psychologically sound and biologically sound, by the way, scientifically sound, because we were raised in the real world before the lunatics took over, and the lunatics took over the Democrat Party. And that might have been first. It's a little bit of a chicken or the egg thing. Just amazing stuff. Jim, great call, great stuff. People are going to talk about you at the dinner table tonight. I'm saluting you.
Thanks, Chris. Semper Fi and stay low on the horizon. Keep that flak jacket zipped up, sir.
Yeah, man. Thanks. Thanks, buddy. That's good advice. Always good advice. I do live in D.C. From holiday hosting to unforgettable gifts, Omaha Steaks delivers the world's best steak experience. And right now, during their Sizzle All the Way sale, you can get 50% off the entire website at omahasteaks.com. Plus, because we hang out together, you and me, you're going to get another $35 off with the promo code PLANT at checkout. That's right, at omahasteaks.com. This is my best girl and I. I've told you before, we love the filet mignons from Omaha Steaks, and we cook them up on my grandfather's skillet. We used my grandfather's skillet last night, too. And just wonderful, just great stuff. Omaha Steaks offers unrivaled quality and variety, and every bite is backed by their 100% guarantee. Every steak is perfectly aged to maximize tenderness and then hand-cut by master butchers in America's heartland, the American Midwest. They also carry mouth-watering burgers and chicken and pork and seafood and delicious desserts, too, all over the place. Right now, you save big on gourmet gifts. People at work, your family members, and more holiday favorites with Omaha Steaks. Just visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off the entire website during their Sizzle All the Way sale and an extra $35 off when you use the promo code PLANT at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com. The promo code is PLANT. Terms apply. See the site for details. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. Bop, bop, bop. Warriors fighting the bad guys on Earth. There are bad guys on Earth. We've been crushing them. America has. Well, since we stopped the Democrats and the Confederate States of America. But we got another one today. Sounds like they want to create a new breakaway republic. That's coming up. All right, let's go to the phones. I've also got the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy. He has infuriated Democrats by suggesting that if they're going to fly on commercial airlines, maybe they shouldn't show up in women's underwear and nothing else. All right, let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Radu. Let's go to the great Radu calling from Potomac, Maryland. Radu, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hello, Chris. How are you? Listen, I've talked to you many times before. You know that I'm a diehard Republican. You know that I voted for Trump 3 times.
Yes. And that you escaped communism in Eastern Europe.
That's correct.
Yes.
However, having said all that, right now I'm very upset with Trump. Number one, Friday he met with the communists, which I think is unacceptable, and praised him on top of that. I lived in New York City for 32 years. The guy is a communist, and he's going to destroy this city. And he praised him, saying he's going to make a very good mayor of New York. And then, on the other hand, a loyal ally like Marjorie Taylor Greene, whom I like very much, always have, who voted for him 99% of the time, he discarded her like an old pair of shoes, just because she disagreed with him with the Epstein thing. Well, the majority of the country disagrees with him on the Epstein thing. I do. I want everything released. Now, you could say that, well, why didn't the Democrats release these things for 4 years? You're right, they didn't. But you know what? Because they are the ones that opened Pandora's box.
Yeah, we said we would, and that's why you've got to open. I'm sorry I ran out the clock on you, Radu.